Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Royce, Eric Nelson, and the one and only Sid Hartman. How you feeling, big guy?
How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Great.
You got a lot of things to tackle tonight. Let's start with the Twins. 3-3, been different because they've actually outslugged some teams. Been a strange week for the Twins.
It's a little early in the season. They played 6 games, but they already are doing what you didn't think. At least for the 6 games, they scored 38 runs, more than any club in baseball. And in the meantime, the 2 pitchers have turned out to be stiffs in the first 2 games. So we'll see. What amazed me, though, but I watch a lot of baseball on TV, all the empty seats in these ballparks, even in the warm weather.
Even in the warm weather?
Yeah.
Cold weather, I can see. Patrick?
I disagree, Sid. I'm shocked at the size of some of the crowds. Heck, Miami, which is terrible, the fans all hate the owners. They had 35,000 last night for this Jose Fernandez kid. So this time of year, you draw for the opener and you don't draw for the other games. But some of the crowds have been pretty good. Yeah, 38 runs in 6 games. I bet you would have asked Gardy, he would have settled for about 18 when he left Florida. But it's cold and you never know. Pitchers don't have a feel for the ball. And,
no, Masterson certainly didn't today.
He didn't, and Nolasco, I'm not ready to give up on him. He usually throws strikes, and he couldn't throw any strikes today. But the good story is the Colabello guy. I mean, he's who knows how long it's last, but 11 RBIs or 12 RBIs, right?
Yeah,
12
leading the American League.
What's his background? Is he a free agent?
What's his Colabello? No, he's out of the. He played for the Meesville Mud Hens or somebody. No, he played in the Can-Am Independent League for 7 years. He's a great story.
Yeah, he was going to go overseas and play. He thought about it, and he decided to
he
give it a
almost
shot.
was going to go to Korea, and then Terry Ryan told him he'd have a chance to make the club, so they let him stay. He stayed.
Eric, you're down in Fort Myers during spring training. What did you think then versus now?
I saw the Twins score 4 runs in 4 games, so it tells you spring training means nothing. I talked to Joe Mauer when I was down there. He says, look, it's spring training, give us some time. And he's right. We were all wrong. We all said they wouldn't score runs. Somebody had to step up. As Patrick said, Colabello's been the guy. But we're only 1 week in. They go back to Target Field now where the runs are tougher to score.
Did you get a day off already, Joe? Joe Meyer get a...
No, he didn't get a day off. He got a DH. He DH'd one day. He's played every day. But Arcia is apparently going on the DL, and they called up Chris Herman because he could play 3 spots.
Too, right?
Willingham got drilled today, but I don't think they'll DL him.
And they said he's day-to-day, so that means if it gets better, he should be okay. What was the first ever opening day like at Met Stadium when Major League Baseball came to Minnesota? What was that like?
Fantastic. They only had about, I would say about 30,000 seats or less.
When the Met first opened,
they were still building it.
Temporary bleachers out in left field, and I don't know how many permanents. I think they only had about Patrick 50?
24,000.
How many?
They opened. They had 24,000 the first ever game. I know this because sadly I was there too.
Were you there
as a kid? Yeah.
What do you remember?
I remember that going to games. That I don't think they did this on opening day, but I remember being at games later that season when the construction was taking place during the game as they were building they were building that second deck down the right field line, and they'd be playing and they'd be going boom, 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 hammering away, building the second deck. And I think by later in the summer they could get 30 in there maybe, and then they built the thing in left field and got her up around. It ended up being 47. But.
I mean, they're playing some afternoon games this week, and other teams are, but obviously TV's dictate a lot of things. Did they, at the Met Stadium, did they not play more afternoon games in April and May consistently because TV wasn't
looked it up when they went to Target Field. In 21 seasons at Met Stadium, they played 7 night games in April.
That's it.
Yep. This year they have one on the next Friday.
Yep.
Well, at John Coles, I always say this, he should be the biggest hero in the world. When they're going to come up with the money for that new section there, he's amazing.
The new section at Met Stadium, you mean, back when it was built?
He and Don Dayton wrote a big check for that.
Well, my dad was a bondholder, and I'm still holding on to them, thinking we can cash them here pretty soon. The bondholders never got any money back from Met Stadium.
They didn't, huh?
Nope, they sold. I don't know. It might have cost $5 He had about 20 of them.
A certificate of some sort?
Yeah.
There must have been some good bonds because he gave the bonds the Star Tribune had to Walter O'Malley and to, I think, the Red Sox were the farm club then, for the franchise minor league.
Yeah, the Red Sox.
So I think there was two kinds of bonds: the bad ones you got and the good ones.
And the ones you and your buddies do. That's been going on for a long time, those two kinds
But
of
Maxie,
That's the truth.
it was cold, but it was the thrill of a lifetime.
Yeah, what was the vibe
I mean,
like?
it was to get, you got to
Major
realize,
League Baseball, I mean,
1961,
wow.
as big as the NFL is today, Major League Baseball was bigger in 1961. The fact you had an NFL team didn't make you Major League. The only thing that made you Major League was a baseball team.
But the other thing was the Twins came with a pretty fair team too, coming from Washington. This wasn't an expansion team.
We didn't know that though, because the old saying was Washington first in war, first in peace, and last in the American League. You know, so. Yeah, we got lucky. We got just when they were ready to turn it around, they came to Minnesota.
Yeah, and Killebrew was a big part of that. You got to
Well, I'll
watch
tell
him
you what.
blossom.
There's a doctor in Rochester who was the biggest hero getting that Washington club here to start with. I'll tell you that. And this is his kid wrote a story about it too. The great Charlie Johnson's in New York, and they can't get the votes. The Yankees won't vote for the move. They got some reason. And what was really happening behind the scenes, Cleveland was trying to stop the thing so they could come here. So Charlie Johnson calls me and says, "Do you know anybody with the Yankees where we can put any pressure on them?" I said, "I don't know those guys." And I stopped to think, Dr. Horton takes care of Topping and Webb. Who knows? So I get on the phone, and I swear on a stack of Bibles on this story. I get on the phone, and I call Dr. Horton, and I says, you could help get this club moved. Sid, for you to ask me something like that's terrible. So the next thing
He didn't know you very well then.
next thing, about a half hour later, he calls me. He says, "Well, they weren't too upset about letting the move. We'll vote for them."
And that's what happened.
And this kid wrote a book, and he had that in there too.
And that's why you got the good bonds at the end of the day. Patrick Stan got those other ones. Plenty more to talk about this board show. Stay with us.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Canterbury Park 24/7 Card Club. Don't forget the Card Club at Canterbury Park. Cambria, makers of quality quartz surfaces. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Soundpoint Audiology. Life is worth hearing. And Cuisine Concepts. Franklin Street Bakery at 11th and Franklin in South Minneapolis, just down from Mall of America Field. And Taste of the NFL. Proud to be the premier Super Bowl party with a purpose to support hunger relief locally and nationally.
Quality. It's the result of shared values. The joy found in an honest day's work. Respect for true American craftsmanship and the need, not the want, to get things right. It's the result of remembering your roots, being forever humbled by how far you've traveled and forever hungry to push on further. Quality is a result. Quality is who we are. Cambria. Family owned, American made.
Have you ever considered a career in the media arts?
I want to be a graphic designer.
I want to create animations.
I want to be a producer.
I want to code websites.
Minneapolis Media Institute offers a variety of programs, from digital art and design, game art and animation, to recording and music technology.
I can be anything I want to be.
I can be anything I want to be.
Minneapolis Media Institute. Start your future now.
A003 license renewal. Subway. The new Tuscan Chicken Florentine Melt, served with spinach Florentine spread on fresh toasted flatbread. Enjoy the primo flavor of herb-seasoned grilled chicken with new spinach Florentine spread. A creamy, garlicky blend of Parmesan cheese hand-mixed with fresh spinach. Enjoy it on any sub you love. But don't wait. Freshly mixed spinach Florentine spread and the Tuscan Chicken Florentine Melt are at a Subway near you for a limited time only. Subway, eat fresh.
Audi A4 drivers have spoken. And they rank the A4 highest in Total Quality Index in its class. Experience the new Audi A4 at your local dealer today.
Looking for a nice, big, juicy rack of ribs?
Fabulous chops, huge steaks, and the Buddy Bowl? Then J.D. Hoyt's is the place for you. Hoyt's opened in 1983, and Mike Andrews and his partner John White have kept this Minnesota tradition at the top of the food chain. Managing owner Pat Montague gives us a tour.
At J.D. Hoyt's, enjoy a relaxed atmosphere, great food, friendly service, private dining room, second-to-none happy hour, just blocks from the new ballpark.
Located at 394 in North Washington. Locally owned, nationally known. Hoyt's.
Stop on by on the way to the ballpark. J.D. Hoyt's. It'll be open for the opener and beyond. Great place to spend a summer night.
100 steps. Official count.
Steps from Dark Star.
Official count.
From there to the target field. Welcome back to the sports show. That Final Four was fun last night watching Wisconsin play against Kentucky.
I don't know what Patrick, if somebody asks Patrick, who probably has attended as many out-of-town events as any guy in the Twin Cities or in the country, if you ask him what his favorite sport would be,
well, let's ask him.
But I would say, without a doubt, 33 Final Fours, something like that, or similar to the Final Fours.
Okay.
Not anymore, but it was at one time. I really enjoyed it. And that was a hell of a game, the second game, but the modern... I'm not a big fan of modern college basketball.
I'm not either.
This
stood out because of that.
Slash to the basket and throw it out to somebody standing behind the three-point line. And I think the three-point shot's the worst thing that's ever happened to basketball. But that was the second game was a hell of a game. The first game was ugly.
Clunker.
You know, all you got to know about college basketball, though, is that Florida team had a 30-game winning streak. A team
that looked that
mediocre.
Bad. Yep.
I mean, they're not mediocre. They're not mediocre, but... They're not good enough to win 30 in a row in a major conference.
They should be able to play poorly and still beat UConn or not play their A game, Eric. And I don't know. And to me, that kind of explains why TBS has some of this stuff. CBS knows is the carrot where the carrot dangles. I just don't think college basketball in general is as good as it once was.
That's watered down. I think there's no doubt about it. But I'm unhappy about the TBS thing. I think it should be over-the-air, free TV for these crown jewel events. I mean, ESPN's taken over the college football bowl games. I mean, you used to be able to watch the Rose Bowl on ABC. Now, if you don't have cable, you're out in the dark. But too bad for the Badgers. It's been 14 years since the Big Ten has won a title.
Let me ask you this. How can the basketball be as good when Kentucky's got 7 freshmen? 5 of those guys will play 1 year. There's no question that a team that has players for 4 years, it gets better. They lose a superstar. Every team loses a superstar. How can the team be that good?
I agree with you. And the other thing is there's 350 Division I schools. Any kid who doesn't get to play as a freshman leaves. So you don't create any depth either. I mean, if you're like Bo Ryan and get a kid to stay and get him to play better by the time he's a junior.
But that's his philosophy. He doesn't want the 5-star blue chip kids. He will develop them. But see, that's where Coach Cal takes the one and done guys, but gets them to gel by April. I know his buddy
that's high pressure.
Bob Knight doesn't
try to get the right 5 freshmen.
He's getting
Here's a kid like the center for Kansas. If he stayed there 4 years, he probably would be one of the greatest players that ever lived.
And he was hurt half this season. He's going to go to the NBA having played 20 college basketball games.
That's right.
And he might be the first
How can you have good teams? Great teams.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So
the NBA needs to fix it.
But I got to tell you, Maxie, I don't care if there's 32.1 seconds remaining or 31.7 seconds remaining. It's not worth 5 minutes of my life finding out if I should have an extra 0.4 of a second. They're driving me nuts.
Yeah, that rule, I understand it, but that's
well, it should be
games,
the last 10
Do you like
seconds.
the three-point shot?
Yeah, you know what I like about it? There's not many good big guys, so it gives more guards. You can play more guards at once.
Knight thinks it's the worst thing ever.
I know,
Knight was against it. I do think it takes a lot of creativity out of the game. The game's just become,
Well,
drive
there's no
and
mid-range
drive
jumper
and
anymore.
kick.
If you can shoot a mid-range jumper,
nobody wants you.
Nobody can do it.
Nobody wants you.
Yeah.
Knight says it takes all the plays out of games.
Yes.
What do you think the winning the NIT did for the Gophers?
Can't hurt,
right?
It looks good in the resume. You got 5 more wins. Rich Pitino could say, I won 25 games my first year. That's an impressive number. But then again, we are an NIT dynasty.
We are, man.
We have now won. We have now won more, and if you count Clem's, the second one, we have won more NIT games than any school.
Is that right?
Yeah, 32. 32 and 12. Wow. We are an NIT juggernaut.
That NIT they won with Clem in '98. The thing was they had to go. It was the first Big Ten tournament, so I went to cover it, and they had to beat Michigan, the great Michigan team with tractor trailer, to get above 500 to even qualify for the NIT, and they pulled off the upset, and they got 6 more games.
The second time they ever went, Dutch went in '80. The first time was '73, and it was Ralph Sampson against Randy Brown. Yeah. I mean, Virginia with Ralph Sampson as a sophomore was in the NIT.
Yeah.
Does that mean we're
Knight
number 69?
was saying
what was Knight saying?
NIT was bigger, much bigger years ago than it is now.
Now, he did the Gopher game the other night. What did he think of the Gophers?
What did he think of the Gophers? He thought they're a pretty good team. He thought that they showed some real guts when they were 7 behind to come back the way they did it. He liked that part of the game.
Against Larry Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, though. Guards win college basketball games, and they had good guards. They had
3 good guards.
Matthew and the Hollands.
And there used to be less teams in the NCAA, which meant you were a better team going into the NIT. Now you got 68, so you're the 69th best team.
Oh, it's so beyond.
Crazy.
Well, what the heck? He can put it on the resume. That's what counts.
Take a break, come back, stay with us.
Attention, please get a pencil. Announcing a hearing breakthrough, a microchip that is so small it can fit on the head of a pin, worn hidden entirely in your ear canal, making you hear clear as a bell. And it's proudly made in the USA. Do you feel left out of conversations? Is it difficult to hear words in noisy environments? Do others say that you listen to the TV or radio too loudly? Do you feel like a bother to others due to your problems hearing? If you answered yes, you may qualify for this new chip in the ear. Only 50 participants are needed to try this microchip, so get a pencil. Call now to see if you qualify. This revolutionary chip actually mimics the natural sound selection of the human ear. With multi-core microprocessors, technology used in the most advanced computers, sounds are analyzed and classified each millisecond, controlling noise and making speech clear. Do not wait. Call now to see if you qualify to wear this revolutionary new microchip.
Evidence that proves my dad's a space alien. Speaks a weird language. Drinks green stuff. He says he's from Albuquerque. I'm not buying it. I mean, just look at him. And one more thing. He has a spaceship. The evidence doesn't lie. My dad's an alien.
The highly advanced Audi A6, named to car and drivers 10 best. Experience exceptional value on the Audi A6 at your local dealer today.
Stop on by, say hi to Charlie and the gang. Audi Minneapolis, right off of 394 and General Mills Boulevard. Drive out in A4, and you will be happy. Minnesota Wild are going to make playoffs. Looks like after last night, they pretty much sealed it. Do you feel a certain momentum with this team? Do they have something magical about them?
I think the owner has done a fantastic job for them. He's got as high a payroll as almost anybody.
Well, it's a salary cap league, so you...
I know, but he has got every player they wanted. And I didn't think the coach would last the season. I didn't think he'd make it. But apparently he did. right now, I guess they're going to make the playoff. Let's see how far they go.
Yeah, they better watch out here, though. The Blues are slipping a little. They might end up with the Blues.
You don't want the Blues, man.
Everybody says they want Anaheim.
I was out there yesterday morning with the Wild, and that was the one thing. They want Anaheim. You just don't want the Blues.
Well, and look what they've done. They go in a 6-day span. They win at L.A. They get a point in Chicago. They beat Pittsburgh. This coming week after the Winnipeg game, they've got Boston and St. Louis, the top 2 teams in the league. So they could finish on a good roll.
They should not make it?
No, they'll make it. They're in. But yeah, they'll make it. But they still got a tough test in the final week.
Well, their goaltending is such a problem when all these injured aren't going to win unless you have a good goaltender.
You've always said that.
Brizgalov played well.
He did.
What, have they dressed 6 goalies this year?
I was out there yesterday morning for that skate around, and I forgot, but all the fans that show up, because you can show up, they open the arena, anybody can watch skate around, for Sidney Crosby. They still got the New York Yankee feel to him, Patrick, when they show up.
Yeah, well, Crosby is, U.S. hero. You're glad to see him back, because he had that terrible concussion problem. You wonder if he missed a year almost.
Almost,
so nice to see. What's got to concern him right now is Granlund.
Yep.
He's had what, 3 concussions this year? That's not good. That's more concussions.
Some person who knows something about hockey told me that the Wild defense is one of the best in the league, and that's why they carry some of those goaltenders. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah. Sure.
Brodin, Spurgeon, and Suter, obviously.
Suter are good, and they play some. I think their forwards play pretty good.
Yeah,
defense.
Harding's back.
Brodziak's been good in
defense. The key, I think, is going to be, can Brizgalov stay hot in the playoffs?
Yeah, you've got a quandary here,
Yeah, and you can say you want Anaheim, but be careful what you wish for. They're pretty good.
Just get that 3rd home game. Make it at least a 6-game first round, so Tommy Reed and the boys can get another extra night of drinking. Yes. Another night of drinking down there, man.
And that's where, in the NHL, that's where you make all your money, is in the playoffs. If you're an ownership group, it's
they keep all the money?
The home gates to the playoffs are where you really make your money if you're an owner in the NHL.
Well, this guy needs to do it because he's been losing money every year.
Well, it's damn near $2 million, I think, when you play a home game.
Yeah, something like that. And it's just you layer that on top.
Huge.
Do the math on those games, and who knows? It is fun though. That I'm not. None of us are necessarily hockey experts, but there's something about spring hockey when the weather's nice out and you got a team in. At least you got something to watch.
I think the Gophers are going to win.
I do too. I think they'll win it all.
They sure look good against St. Cloud. Ooh, last week. Wow, they were
North Dakota, huh?
North Dakota's a little down.
Should be fun. I saw them in the NCHC tournament. They got beat by Miami of Ohio at Target Center. I wasn't impressed, but that's a small sample size. I'm sure they'll be ready for Minnesota, though.
Yeah, one game kind of deal, but Minnesota has a better goaltender than Wilcox. So take a break, come back, stay with us.
If you guys could go on a free shopping spree anywhere, where would you go? I'd go to the grocery store. Pizza, ice cream. I'd go shop for clothes. You know where I go? I'd go to Ticket King. Ticket King! At Ticket King, you can buy great seats for the Vikings, Christian Ponder, the Wild, Zach Parise, the Timberwolves, Ricky Rubio, and of course the Twins. We love the Twins. Yes, this is where I go. Vikings, Twins, Wild, Timberwolves, Gophers, theater, and concerts, too. Justin Bieber! Hey, I like him first. For details, go to TicketKingOnline.com. Any ticket, anytime, anywhere. It's the real thing. It's Ticket King. Right, Dad?
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
That's for sure.
The visibility and the awareness that this particular year brings to the issue of hunger is a dream come true.
The world turns its eyes to one place, and then takes the NFL stands up and says, and as long as you're looking here, don't forget what else is here.
I hate the fact that little kids go hungry. I hate the fact that even grandmas that can't afford medicine or food, they give up food.
This is a cause that's very near and dear to my heart. It's so relevant, and to actually hear about hunger, we hear about the statistics, but to see it, firsthand, it's a very different thing.
There are a lot of people who are having to decide whether to pay the heat bill or have enough food. And so the need is there. The need is great. And we're people who are well positioned to help meet that need.
There it is. Check them out at tasteofthenfl.com anytime. Spring football, you were out at practice yesterday. You seem pretty optimistic.
It's the most boring thing to watch is spring football. But if you're writing a column and you want to get some interviews, you're forced to go to it.
And Berkeley Edwards looked good yesterday.
Yeah. Edwards is going to be... Everybody on that coaching staff can't wait for him to play in a game.
You know what? I almost forgot to get to this. That game on Friday night, if you happen to catch it, the Timberwolves and Miami was one fun basketball game.
Yeah, it is. They're an amazing team, aren't they? They can be the most entertaining team in town. Yep. They beat Memphis as bad as they want to. They beat the Heat, and then of course nobody plays the next night.
Yeah.
Now we got the interesting Dante Cunningham set a new team record, 2 arrests in 3 days. So what an idiot.
And 34 minutes of playing time last night.
34 minutes in between. I was shocked.
How did he play? How could he?
Well, because
everybody's hurt.
Yeah. They get down there and Love's out with back spasms, and then Buttinger gets hurt right
Kevin
away.
Martin didn't play.
No.
How bad is Love hurt?
He just had spasms.
How can you beat a team that's won 2 straight titles and lose to a 22-win team the next night?
Because you don't have your team.
But still.
I don't think I've ever seen a team. You never know which team's going to show up. I mean, they lose to some of the biggest dogs and they beat some of the best teams. You never know from one week to the next.
You know what an amazing feat was, though? Shabazz Muhammad managed to get hurt. Mm-hmm. He never plays, and he still managed to get hurt.
What did he do? We were going to see him.
What did he do? Trip over a water fountain or something?
Well, I don't know. They held him out again last night.
Yeah, what a beauty.
They have
Shabazz Muhammad.
Yeah.
Now you're happy because they're going to get a first-round pick, though, right?
They're going to get a first-round pick.
Big deal if you don't get a high first-round pick.
Well, you got to give Flip credit. That D, how do you pronounce his name?
Gorgui Dieng.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player. I'll tell you that. He's got a chance to be. He's got as good a natural ability as any other late first-round choice.
Especially with Pekovic's inability to play.
I think now one of the things that's helping him a lot is he's fresh.
He's fresh.
Because our coach managed to keep him hidden for 50 games.
But they didn't play him that much against Miami down the stretch.
No, we had to play
He's
Luke.
pretty good. He's pretty good. He can do a lot of things. Talk to the players about him, what they think of him.
Gorgui Dieng.
They love him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a fun guy.
He's a great player.
Stat on Mababute. It was a -24 last night.
Ooh, that's not good for defensive specialists. Back next week.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Canterbury Park 24/7 Card Club. Don't forget the Card Club at Canterbury Park. Cambria, makers of quality quartz surfaces. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Soundpoint Audiology. Life is worth hearing. And Cuisine Concepts. Franklin Street Bakery at 11th and Franklin in South Minneapolis, just down from Mall of America Field. And Taste of the NFL. Proud to be the premier Super Bowl party with a purpose to support hunger relief locally and nationally.